Now, you say, well, his theory isn't so great. Why are we so impressed? But think about why the people of his era were impressed. There's a way that he demonstrates the value of his explanations that he's provided. He happened to have been a noted astronomer, and he predicted in 585 BCE. In fact, that's one way that the scholars figure out about when he lived. There was an eclipse in 585 BCE, and it was recorded in history that Thales was the guy. In fact, I think Aristotle attributes it to him. He found out that the eclipse was going to happen. And I told you the story when we first looked at this stuff that people thought philosophy was a complete waste of time or science was a waste of time. But what it did was it helped him realize that based on what he knew about astronomy and the connection to the weather and the fact that things happen on a regular basis when certain things, when he could see certain things going on in the heavens, so to speak, and that was causing things to go on in the weather, and we still have the same sorts of things going on today. He realized that the olive harvest was going to be great, and he corners the market. He rents all the olive presses and makes a fortune to show how the laws that he's proposing make sense. And you might wonder, well, how can we even predict the weather? Look at where we are today. But one thing that we still do is there's a book published called the Farmer's Almanac, and it predicts how the weather is going to be in various seasons. And what's interesting is, I'm not quite sure what methods they use, but for many, many years they've been pretty accurate. Not 100%, not anywhere close to 100%, but they've been as accurate as anything else we've come up with. And notice what he's providing now is something that can be tested, a law-like explanation. Every time certain things happen, something else happens, and that helps you predict what's going to happen. So think about it. You have the germ theory, that there are these bacteria called streptococcus that cause infection. Well, what is that? You say whenever streptococcus start growing, a person gets sick, he has an infection. Well, it tells you in that law that streptococcus causes infection, it tells you can predict that when somebody's in a weakened condition and has a lot of streptococcus, they're going to end up with a certain kind of infection. Now, the idea of monism is really very impressive. That is, people think it's scientific. That is, it gives you a simplified view of the cosmos. Everything came from one source. It's made up of one kind of thing. Everything's made of that. And it also, as Shields described it, it uses a principle called parsimony. And what parsimony is, a principle that a man in the a medieval philosopher is very well known for pointing this out, a gentleman called Occam, and it's called Occam's razor, the principle of parsimony, is that if you're looking for a good explanation, a really powerful explanation, you want to look for one general feature that explains many, many, many observations. And hey, this is about as general as you could get. The Thales found one thing, water, that was going to explain how land occurred, how crops grew, how people and animals reproduced, what was going on there. So in this regard, it was just one thing. It was very, very economical theory, economical in the sense that it doesn't suppose that there are a whole lot of things. And in fact, if you think about science, why was the whole atomic theory, the recent atomic theory that everything is made up of atoms, so impressive? Because it was one kind of entity that could explain everything in chemistry.